bum, 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 bum. And with that, thank you everybody for watching.
We're not doing a 1 hour stream.
Dang it. Oh. Why is she here?
Good question.
So, witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
Hey, Keyblade. Keyblade said, well, that's the end of the game. Gotta wait for Chronicles 2 to come out on the new Switch.
Kazuma, this is your adopted father figure. Like, what?
It's still procedure. You can't just be like, hey, everybody, this is my father.
This is my dad. Dad, can you tell us who you are, please? Thank you, Dad.
This is my daddy.
No.
Daddy Mikitoba. Can you introduce yourself?
Daddy, could you please tell me who you are, Daddy?
You
I was gonna get worse. You better stop me.
Eugen Mikitoba, lecturer in forensic medicine at the Imperial Yume University in Tokyo, Japan.
Are you my dad? And Professor Mikotoba, the young lady beside you, is...
This is Dr. Maria Gori.
She's my sugar baby.
Scotland Yard's practicing coroner. The daughter of Dr. Scythe, I understand. Yes, Dr. Scythe. I'm afraid I can't tell you why she's here. She just appeared.
You summoned this strange Japanese man as a witness to that autopsy. But you don't summon Mama? That makes no sense. She was there too.
That's about the size of it. I've had her eyes boring into the side of my cheek constantly, whilst I was in the antechamber too. Poor man. The idea of it's making me shudder. The revelation about Dr. Scythe that came to light some days ago defiled the reputation of the entire judiciary. She was therefore deemed unfit to appear as a witness in today's proceedings. The Ministry of Justice's decision on that is final.
Well, we wouldn't want any more perjury to be committed, would we?
The Ministry of Justice. Some questionable strings are being pulled, I think. I remember you, Dr. Mikotoba, but certainly never expected to be meeting you under these circumstances. Yes, it's been a long while, Lord Strongheart.
The prosecution understands that you were a visiting student of forensic medicine in London until 10 years ago.
That's right. I studied under Dr. Wilson at St. Sinners.
So you were present at the autopsy of my brother, Lord Clint von Zeeks.
I was, yes. I assisted Dr. Wilson with the entire procedure.
Yes. Mama is far more skilled than any Japanese man.
Well, Dr. Wilson asked me to be his primary assistant on that occasion. And this autopsy report was actually penned by you, I believe. Yes, I noted all the doctor's findings, and we are done. He read through the document and signed it.
Poor Mama. As secondary assistant, she wouldn't have had such a good view of all the innards.
Aw, that sucks.
That does suck! I mean, she probably got a good view of all the tools, though. She got them all ready for them, I'm sure.
I wanted to see his organs, though.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It really is. But, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's a well-oiled machine. Everybody does their part.
Also, Shady, yeah, Saint Sinners. They've mentioned it a few times.
So, Professor, do you remember Inspector Gregson? Baroque Fancy just shudders. Professor!
Yes, of course. If it wasn't for his assistance, Lord Von Zeke's autopsy would never have happened. But he was absolutely convinced that it would reveal decisive evidence against Genshin, you see. So Lord Strongheart had to entreat the nobility to allow it to take place. Do correct me if I'm wrong, my lord. It was a result of that autopsy that a mass murder was apprehended and justice was done.
But Gregson admitted it before he was killed. He admitted that the results of the autopsy were fabricated. You were there at the time, so you must testify. You have an obligation to tell the truth about what really went on.
Absolutely. That's precisely why I'm here. Yeah, Dragon Genshin had a huge impact in this trial. I mean, Genshin had a huge impact on Van Zeke's brother, if you know what I mean.
No! Genshin filled Clint with microtransactions. You like that one? That's pretty good.
I didn't want to think about it.
You said it!
And that's why I'm here too.
I wasn't inferring microtransactions.
I want to fill a corpse with microtransactions.
Okay, that's illegal. Very well then. You will give your formal testimony now, witness. But before you begin, a word of warning. Oh? You will state truthfully and accurately what you saw and what you heard at the time. I wouldn't dream of doing otherwise, my lord. The moment your testimony verges on supposition, I will expel you from my courtroom. Remember that. The autopsy of... I almost read it Zeke's Van Clint. I don't know why. God, I'm tired. From my own observation, I couldn't see there was any indication of the autopsy results having been fabricated. Death resulted from a wound made by a Western-style sword transfixing the heart. That I found a little strange.
There were no other signs of internal
Oh, you sound very far away.
Sorry. Hello, I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
There were no other signs of internal injury. Nothing questionable at all. It was just that beautiful but dangerous piece of evidence removed from the man's stomach.
Presumed to have been swallowed by the victim as a way to posthumously identify the assailant. No indication. Nothing to suggest fabrication.
Professor Mikitoba, are you certain about that? Well, nothing that I could positively identify as such, much less swear to in testimony.
Ugh.
Ah ha 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 ha. That clears things up nicely.
That's a little too on the nose, Strongheart. You can't just like evilly chuckle at yourself.
What would stop him? That's not a crime.
Oh.
The only fabrication here, Asogi, has come from you.
What?
You claim the inspector confessed just before his death, but that is the fabrication.
No. He really acknowledged it. I swear he did.
Freely, with the tip of a sword at his throat. The man was clearly at his wit's end. The court will give no credence to this confession that was uttered in obvious desperation. Quite strongly, there was nothing questionable about the investigation of Lord Clint Van Zeke's death. And with this testimony we have, without question, uncovered the whole truth of the matter. Dragon says Maria looks like she belongs in another game. If I may, my lord. There's the last button. There's most certainly something questionable about it. The whole truth does rather elude us, I feel. I beg your pardon. Well, you're obviously aware of the facts of the case. All 4 of the professor's previous victims died when an enormous beast was set upon them that ripped out their throats.
Oh, such horrifying crimes.
But curiously, the killer's last victim, Lord Clint Van Zeeks, suffered a different fate. Yes, you're right.
He was stabbed through the heart with a sword.
That's enough! I believe I warned you about this, witness. I promised to curtail your testimony as soon as it entered the realms of supposition or speculation. Humph. Very well, my lord. In that case, the defense will pursue a conclusion to this during the cross-examination. What? I have the right to cross-examine every witness after testimony. And I fully intend to exercise that right.
Brunosuke.
I'm afraid that even the presiding judge has no authority to contravene the letter of the law.
Keyblade said, when your custom character appears in a cutscene.
As I'm sure every member of the judiciary present in the gallery would agree.
Is that in regards to
I think it.
Gori?
Yeah, I think it's Maria Gori.
Yeah, she is kind of T-posing awkwardly.
She's just staring at Mikitova. Very well, you may begin counsel. However, the moment your argument strays from the established facts, I will not hesitate to bring this cross-examination to an end. Proceed with caution.
Well, this is one of those where if we get penalized,
Yes, my lord.
we lose.
No.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say there's always one. Give me a second. I rubbed my eyes and they're irritating me. That's why I keep taking my glasses off. You can go ahead. It's just.
I mean, there's no going ahead until you're ready, so I guess I could save.
Yeah, you probably want to do that.
As far as I know, there's no cross-examinations in this game where you can't press stuff. Like there wasn't.
I'm probably gonna want to press for these. I don't.
All of them?
Wait. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. From my own observations, I couldn't say there was anything something fabricated. Next. Death resulted from a wound made by a Western-style sword transfixed upon the heart. That's what I found a little strange. Sure. Keep going. There were no other signs of internal injury. Nothing questionable at all. Okay, keep going. It was just that beautiful but dangerous piece of evidence removed from the man's stomach. Press that.
What exactly was it, though? What does beautiful but dangerous mean?
Well, it was sparkly and round with a hole, as if it might slip over a finger, perhaps.
It was a ring, belonging to Genshin Asogi.
My father's ring, inside the victim's stomach.
At the time, Genshin wore a large ring on the digitus quartus of his left hand, the fourth or ring finger.
Why wouldn't he just say that? Why wouldn't he just?
Because
say
he's
that?
a doctor.
Yeah, but like, ugh.
What? Do you know any doctor who says ring finger?
Yeah, every doctor.
Then you clearly haven't met every doctor.
Digitus quartus. Ugh. I went to medical school and I would never have called it that.
Dragon said
most-
Dragon said digitus quartus. Never heard of that.
Like at most, I've called it the fourth phalange. Like that's the most technical I've ever called a ring finger. But digitus quartus? Ugh, how pretentious.
Well, from now on, you better start calling fingers always phalanges. Because
I love
not.
phalange. That's such a cool name. It's from the.
I never want to hear you say the word finger again.
Oh man, that is a really cool word though. I really like.
Keyblade said to your doctor, right? Name every doctor. I understood it was some sort of keepsake.
When my father left Japan for London 16 years ago, I was 8 years old. I got him a ring pop. He promised to wear it always. But I remember that ring.
You do?
My father's possessions were sent to our family home in Japan after his death, but the ring wasn't among them.
Obviously not. It was a key piece of evidence. It remains under lock and key at the stores of Scotland Yard to this day. After the autopsy, Genshin was summoned by the police to check for the presence of his ring. It wasn't on his hand, of course. Moreover, there were deep abrasions in his finger where it had been pulled off. They arrested the man then and there, right before my eyes.
How could they?
I brought the ring along with me today.
What?
Here it is, a bit dusty from you in the stores.
Good gracious, yes, that's it. I haven't seen that in 10 long years.
And that was found inside the victim's stomach.
Yes, I'm afraid so. You hesitated there, Professor Mikitoba. Should we read something into that? Well, just not thinking back now. I didn't actually witness the moment it was extracted from the victim's body.
Oh my, really?
At that precise moment, Dr. Wilson asked me to fetch him a new scalpel, you see. Dr. Gory. The removal of historic evidence from the stores requires my consent, does it not? Whoever came to be here, the court cannot deny this is crucial evidence for today's proceedings. Very well. You may submit it.
Let's look at it.
It's not the sort of ring normally seen in Japan. They almost all look like claws protecting that. They almost look like claws protecting that jewel. Wanna look at it?
Yeah.
These fat claws are doing a good job of protecting the equally fat gemstone in the middle of this ring.
These fat, meaty claws.
Yes, if you're clumsy, you could give yourself another rather nasty cut on them, I should think.
Ow! Now my finger's bleeding. The claws really are sharp.
Oh my. It's a very quick clumsiness of Snarhodo, even for you.
Ugh. Who would make such a dangerous ring? You couldn't swallow it without doing yourself some fairly serious damage, surely.
A sticky mochi bun about that size would go down much better with some red bean paste in the middle.
Someone as clumsy as me would probably manage to choke on it somehow.
Cute.
Okay, that's it.
Okay. Cool.
You must examine it very carefully, Mr. Snarhodo. Very carefully indeed.
I mean, Susato, you said it.
Okay.
Save and present the ring here, I guess.
Here?
Yeah. Like they said, like if it scratched him just touching it, like I don't know if it's even possible to.
This?
Yeah. Dang it.
The witness's last statement exhibits a fundamental inconsistency. Not one that any British court would recognize, counsel. What? Remember, this is a closed court. Whatever fate befalls you in here, no one outside will ever know.
Whoa.
Should I be wondering if I'll make it out of this courtroom alive?
Am I about to get murdered?
Is It's at least a fun murder. Okay.
I go back. Go back. Oh, there. Present the ring there. wait. I'm good at this game.
The court has heard that the ring was extracted from the victim's stomach. But you didn't actually see it being removed, did you, Professor Mikotoba?
That's right. As I said in my testimony before, at that moment I was fetching a replacement scalpel that Dr. Wilson had requested.
In other words, you can neither confirm nor deny whether this ring, in fact, really came from the victim's stomach or not.
What are you suggesting, Counsel?
That the ring was never in the victim's stomach to begin with. It's entirely feasible that Dr. Wilson fabricated that detail about the autopsy.
What are you saying? That Dr. Wilson?
That Dr. Wilson was in possession of the ring in advance after it was somehow stolen from Mr. Asogi. And he produced it during the procedure, pretending to have found it there and then in the victim's stomach.
Supposition at best. What possible evidence do you have to support such a rash claim?
This evidence, right here.
That's the autopsy report. Oh, so the autopsy report would have worked there too?
As far as I know, no. I think they're just bringing it up, but maybe. But as far as I know, no.
It's explicit in that report, Counsel. Other than the ring, nothing unusual was noted internally, so I'm not sure how you intend to prove your point.
You've already done it for me, my lord. The lack of internal injury says it all.
What?
To swallow a ring of this size would require considerable effort and determination.
Or resolve.
In addition to its size, there are sharp claws around the gemstone to contend with.
My brother was a determined man. On the brink of death, even more so, I'm sure. I've seen him swallow things 3 times that size.
I try to think of some way to follow it up, but I just can't. It's fine.
He would have stopped at nothing to ensure that the evil kill was brought to justice. He would have swallowed anything.
But if he really had swallowed that enormous ring, it's inconceivable that no traces of its passage down his throat would have remained as eternal trauma.
No! We're defending you. What are you talking about?
Now we've arrived at the sticking point.
We should do a colonoscopy on Clint Von Seek's corpse.
It's probably a skeleton at this point.
I still want to do it.
There's nothing to colonoscopize.
Trauma team, Phoenix Wright crossover. When?
You can't
Trauma
colonoscopize a skeleton.
Trauma team.
There are no
Phoenix Wright
holes.
crossover. When? I mean, there's plenty of holes.
That's precisely what.
That's precisely why my dog shut the...
You threw me off.
You forgot that he had this.
You threw off my groove.
You forgot Mikotoba. It's all an act on Mikotoba to sound.
Anyways, I thought I was doing the not quite as bad voice.
No, I know, but it's funny for me to think that he's actively modulating his accent. He's doing it's all canon. He's like, oh, I went too far. Let me adjust it. He's just embarrassed by how fair and light his voice is.
That's precisely why I had my doubts about the findings myself 10 years ago.
Then why didn't you say something at the time?
I did. I still remember the conversation I had with Dr. Wilson in the laboratory that day.
Oh.
You can be Dr. Wilson.
Look at this! Now this is a very curious thing to find in a man's stomach, wouldn't you say?
But isn't that rather peculiar, Dr. Wilson?
What's that now, Mikotoba?
Well, if you swallow a ring of that size with those sharp metal claws that it has, surely you'd expect to see damage to the throat and esophagus, torn mucous membranes at the very least.
Can we take a moment to appreciate how they spell esophagus?
Why would you do this to me? Why would you do this to me? You know that upsets me so much.
Because it looks so wrong.
It looks
So
oesophagus.
damage the throat and esophagus.
Oesophagus.
Dr. Mikotoba, may I remind you that I have vastly more experience than you.
I'm terribly sorry.
I can think of plenty of ways to explain why no injuries would be seen.
Yeah, Dragon, that is either the British spelling or the old British spelling for it. Probably when it came from Old French. Or Middle French.
Middle French.
No, let's say this. The victim would appear to have ingested the item as evidence to identify his assailant. Go ahead, write it down. So I was right. Dr. Wilson deliberately fabricated the results of the autopsy to implicate my father.
Dragon said, wow, that's a deep cut. Pun considering what we're dealing with.
Which one?
I think the pronunciation. But they're saying deep cut is a pun.
Oh.
Because they're cutting with scalpel stuff, yeah.
Well, why.
I'm disappointed, Counsel. That argument is nothing more than speculation.
What?
Dr. Wilson was Britain's leading authority in forensic science and autopsy work. There was no scientific basis on which to doubt the man's expert opinion. Pardon the interruption, my lord, but damage to the mucous membranes of the throat is easily identified even in living subjects.
You seen that?
Trauma team, Phoenix Wright crossover. When? Trauma team.
I mean, it'd be Trauma Center because that's the series, but
oh, so good, so good. They should do it. There's no reason why they shouldn't.
I mean, they don't do Trauma Center is kind of like a dead IP right now. So
yeah, this is what revitalizes it.
Who even owns? That's Atlas. Atlas owns it.
Like, listen, Atlas collaborates with everyone. Like
except for Capcom.
Literally everyone. Isn't Atlas owned by Capcom? Or the other way around?
I thought Atlas is owned by Sega.
I think there are Atlas games that are also cross-published with Sega. I don't know. Either way.
Using a device called an endoscope, recently demonstrated in practical use in France. I want one. The government can pay.
I don't think so. And Dr. Gory, rest assured that your removal of evidence from the stores without permission will not go unpunished.
She puts another mask on.
We open up the dead to find the truth.
I beg your pardon.
But Mama, she chose to stitch her corpses up with all her secrets inside. That's wrong.
Dr. Gory, it's looking as though she's chosen to walk a different path to her mama.
It's a very quiet murmur.
The Dragon said Sega owns them now, Atlas.
So yeah, I was right.
That's what I said. I said Sega owns them.
That Sega owns Atlas, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the ring. What about the ring? So they could do it.
This is Capcom.
Oh, sorry. I just remembered something. Earlier incident.
What incident?
The one I recounted to you before about a memory I had of Genshin Yoshoki saving my life. What? My father saved your life. Yeah. It was 10 years ago on a foggy night. Genshin and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. All of a sudden,
Come make a peep. You're coming with us.
All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scar.
Bang!
That was a male identifying gun, just for the record. Or a defense attorney, one of the two. Next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street.
Or it was a judge.
From his left hand. Yeah, he shielded me. It was on the ring finger of his. What is it? What was it? Cordis? Digit? I forget.
Digitus Cordis?
Digitus Cordis. It was so dumb. It was on the finger of his left hand that he used to wear that ring.
Ah, are you saying?
That was his wedding ring? That was a really.
He never said it was a wedding ring.
Yeah, but don't you wear your wedding ring on the ring finger of your left hand?
Are wedding rings a thing in 1800s Japan?
Probably. I've always believed those thugs were after me. But now I'm starting to question if perhaps I wasn't the intended target after all. Wait, but... Genshin was arrested 2 days after that attack. And in that short interval, the decisive evidence needed to indict him was miraculously found.
You mean the ring was stolen from him? You think that's what those thugs were after that night?
Objection! Clank, 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 clank. You pathetic coward! You expect me to believe that you weren't involved? What do you mean by that? It was you, wasn't it? You're the one who took it. You stole my father's ring. You set this whole thing up so you can paint him as a mass murderer and have him arrested.
Kazuma, open your eyes.
Open your eyes. Abre los ojos. Ryunosuke.
You must know deep down. The truth can be completely obscured even when your judgment is only slightly clouded. But at the moment, you seem to be floundering through a dense fog. Is that why you were so insistent I should be present in this trial? To see you like this.
Are you into kink shit? Are you into shaming? Just kink.
Oh, I thought you were laughing because it was just like Ryunosuke has like an EQ of like -12.
Oh, he does, but it's also just funny for me to think that Kazuma's just like into being shamed in public. He's like, oh yes, this will be the greatest.
Well, this is an amazing spectacle. What a grandiose expression on your face, as if you were Lady Justice herself. It seems you thoroughly convinced yourself of this alleged fabrication of the autopsy reports. So much that you're apparently blind to the blatant contradiction that would be born out of it. What? Though it's extremely hard to believe, let us imagine that there was some misconduct during the autopsy. Shouldn't it be like questionable that he's like smiling through all this?
Yeah, a little bit.
If that were the case, why would Asogi not have disputed the findings in his trial? Oh. In the closed court hearing 10 years ago, the defendant never once denied the claims against him. Isn't that right, Lord Van Zeeks?
Yes, that is indeed correct. Upon hearing the verdict of guilty, he merely closed his eyes, quietly accepting the judgment. The actions of a man who has accepted responsibility for his deeds and is resigned to his fate.
But then,
Oh my! That is very strange. If Mr. Soki did nothing to oppose the charges against him, then that would surely mean there was no fabricated evidence.
an obvious conclusion at which you should have arrived many minutes ago, Prosecutor Sogi.
Many minutes.
Your twisted loyalty and clouded judgment are hampering your ability for logical thought.
Ah!
Genshin Asogi's silence at his hearing can mean only one thing. There was no fabrication of evidence during the autopsy of his final victim 10 years ago. Ugh! But if that autopsy was all above-board, there'll be nothing to stop Lord Strongheart bringing this trial to an immediate conclusion.
Oh. Thank you, Runosuke. If it wasn't for your frank words just now, this trial may very well have ended prematurely.
Kazuma? What's this latest absurdity, Counsel?
My lord, your reasoning is perfectly sound. But for one giant hole!
I beg your pardon.
I know all about giant holes. You claim my father's silence was no fabricated evidence. There's another possible explanation. You've overlooked the possibility that he had a reason for maintaining that silence. Silence that would lead him to being convicted and sent to his death. If the autopsy results were an invention, there's no conceivable reason why the man wouldn't have protested. Oh, those results were an invention, all right. No question of that. Or are you forgetting that 2 people with a connection to the autopsy have been assassinated? Ugh. If I force the grievances I felt from my mind, I start to see you in a very different light. I think perhaps it's you who's been living in delusion these 10 years. Me?
Kazuma-sama has created one last chance for us here, Mr. Naruto. We can only show there was a reason for his father's silence in the trial.
A reason why the man would have said nothing even though he was innocent. Could it have been part of some negotiation, perhaps? Enough rhetoric. The court must be shown evidence. What proof do you have that could possibly explain Asogi's silence in court?
Is it the Asogi papers? Save either way, but
Are you sure it's not the attorney's badge?
it'd be so funny. Has the attorney's badge ever been relevant?
Yes, I believe in case 3, 4, 5 or whatever, last case of the third game, I think. You have to show
your
I-
armband?
and
The
I
attorney's badge?
I think actually in the fourth case of the first game, you had to show it to Edgeworth. Like, there's some times where you have to show it to somebody to get them to let you be
Yeah, but,
their
like,
client.
But is it has it ever been relevant as like a piece of evidence? Like in court?
I don't think in any of the court sections, no.
Okay, go to the 4th page.
That page.
Keep going. Back to the 3rd page. Keep going. One at a time.
What?
One at a time. Go left. Left. Twice. Is it that? Let me see. Next page. Go back. Let me see. Go net one more. No, keep going. Keep going all the way to the second page. Yeah, do the Sogi papers.
This is the defense's answer to that question. As I indicated before, my patience for rhetoric is growing thin.
Strongheart, I'm sorry.
You could have at least accompanied that penalty with an explanation of why that answer was wrong.
If Cosimus fathers knew that the evidence we used to convict him was fabricated, why would he have said nothing in this trial?
If it were me, I'd have protested my innocence until I was blue in the face.
So if we were right about the autopsy report, there must have been a strong reason for his silence.
Well then, perhaps he was saying nothing in exchange for some sort of clemency. Ah, that could be it. My lord, the defense would like to... Back to looping out enough rhetoric.
Clemency. Like, what I'm thinking is, like, they were maybe gonna pin it on Von Zieks himself, on Baroque, and he like took the hit so Baroque would be innocent. That's what I'm thinking. But like, the picture, like that would make even less sense.
I think you're jumping ahead too much in your thinking, but...
Oh, okay. I gotta. You know me so well. Okay. Then go up to the newspaper. It's probably nothing, right? Yeah. No. Keep going. Keep going.
Dragon
Okay,
says it's the hair wig.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. More. 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 Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. This is the Asogi papers? I'm just kidding. Keep going. 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 Yeah, no. Is it the autopsy report again? That's dumb. I don't think it is.
What? We have 2 autopsy reports, I think.
Clint's autopsy report. That wouldn't make any sense. That
This?
literally wouldn't make any sense. Yeah.
Is that your guess, or no?
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's wrong. I mean, I can click it. I was just see the same dialogue.
Ugh. Like,
Shady guest autopsy report.
Where's my thought process? What proof that could possibly explain Asogi's silence? Asogi's silence is theorized currently to be clemency, right? So they made
a deal.
Something else. He made a deal of some sort, right?
I think you should look at evidence more closely.
Oh my gosh, you said that last time.
Because you just need to read stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not the Asogi papers. We already established, right?
We tried.
We read. Yeah, we read
You
them.
clicked them.
Did we read them? Check it.
We presented them even.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't be that because we checked
Yeah.
it. So go back. Okay, let me see the photo again.
This?
No, the photo of Baroque Von Zieks.
This?
Yeah. No, I don't think it's that. Go up one.
Right one or
One item, yeah, right. No. Can I see the tableau, the billboard thing? Notice board? I mean, it says that we haven't checked something, right?
it'll say that for everything because we've checked them last episode when we got the
Oh.
evidence.
So it's not relevant. This isn't it?
We don't have to examine anything.
Okay, go back. Go back to the fourth items. What?
Nothing. I'm just laughing at you.
Because I can't see. I'm an old man. I gotta squint.
You should put on your glasses.
What? What'd you say?
I said you should put on your glasses.
My other glasses?
Both glasses.
I don't think it's this.
Okay.
Here. It is none of these items, correct?
Are you guessing every one of these items?
Yeah,
Okay, these 5 guesses are wrong.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's none of those. I had a feeling. Go to the third slide.
Yeah, it's Kazuma. It's not Kazuma's Silent Shady. It's other Asogi. Genshin.
Genshins, yeah. Okay, go to the other item.
Other
left one.
item?
Can I see this closely? Okay. Sure. Okay, keep going. Is it this?
Is that your guess?
Yeah, and you want to know why?
Why?
Because Clint also had the scratches on his finger, so they were gonna pin it on him. They're gonna pin it on himself. That doesn't make any sense. But go ahead, present it.
Your guess is wrong.
Okay. Next item.
But thank you for explaining your logic.
It can't be a passport. Keep going. It can't be its trunk. Keep going. It's not the Asogi papers. Keep going. It's not this photo. It's not the Inspector Grex's ID or his pocket watch. Go. Go to the billboard again. No. Keep going. Keep going. That wouldn't be it. Keep going. Keep going. It might be that photo. It might be that photo. But keep going. Just nothing else is around from his time. Like the first slide has nothing to do with him. Like nothing in the first set of evidence pieces relate to Genshin at all. Go to the first one. Yeah, the newspaper's recent. Daily Vigil is irrelevant. The other isn't like Mikotoba saying that the warden can talk to him. Evie, the wig, the thing, and then the other thing next to that blue, the ticket. What is that? I don't think it's relevant. It's a dismissal note. Is that it? That'd be weird. Can I see it? Okay, keep going. Keep going. Like, would it be this? It's the whole thing is like, oh, like if you plead guilty, we'll give you an opportunity to escape. Go ahead, present this. That's weird, but do it.
The truth that Genshin Isogi's silence during his trial resulted in his conviction. I mean, it literally said on it that he was accused of making a deal with him.
That's why I'm picking it, but it's like that's such a bizarre. Like I wouldn't accept being, like what is Webba accused and convicted of being a mass murderer just for the chance of being able to leave, like escape when nobody noticed.
It
Like, that's
didn't say that was the full deal.
Fair enough.
It's true that Genshin Isogi's silence during trial resulted in his conviction, but that didn't actually lead to his execution. On the contrary, it led to his escape. An escape that was only possible because he'd been sentenced to death.
Although I find it hard to believe my father would have negotiated in a way the defense is correct.
What?
He just had all that information written on that scroll the entire time and never bothered to pull it out. A fake execution, the falsification of death certificate, and jailbreak inside a coffin. He just had that written in that scroll. He's just like, I'm saving this for a rainy day. I'm gonna pretend like
He didn't know when that would be relevant. He got it in the first day of the investigation. And he started assuming it just wasn't relevant at this point because it was so far back.
Oh, that's so funny. Clearly, such an elaborate plan couldn't have been carried out by my father alone. He must have had the help of a collaborator from the judiciary.
I have here the dismissal notice of the chief warder who was working at the prison at the time. The notes read, there are indications that the jailbreak was in planning prior to the inmate's incarceration. In other words, there was suggestion of some sort of negotiation between Mr. Asogi and the British government.
In exchange for his silence in court, he was given an assurance that he would be broken out of prison. Yes, but that sort of clandestine agreement in place, I can imagine he would have kept very quiet.
I would go further than that, in fact. I would say that the elaborate jailbreak of Mr. Asogi can be explained in no other way. Order, order! First fabricated evidence, now a jailbreak conspiracy. Of course, because it's all intimately linked.
The prosecution wishes to summon new witnesses to the stand.
Witnesses?
People who can testify about the jailbreak that took place 10 years ago.
Ah,
Governor Caden? And the poor chief warder of the prison?
I won't allow this trial to turn into a farce. To summon the governor of the prisoner after all these years. Oh, what if we have any trouble, my lord? What?
He's already here.
Father!
My dear friend may appear a little rattle-paddled at times, but I can assure you he's extremely thorough. He wired both Barclay and the local prison earlier.
Oh my gosh.
Asking Governor Caden and Mr. Vigil to attend the Old Bailey is a matter of extreme urgency.
They're already there.
Mr. Sholmes did that?
They're just waiting. Like Kaden and Vigil were right next to Gory and Mikatova. And the people are like, who are those two? It's like, it's a secret surprise for later.
Are you telling me that? Both men are, unless I'm much mistaken, waiting just outside the courtroom at this very moment.
Oh, that's so funny.
Like, where was Sholmes' like competency the entire series, and then just all of a sudden he's like, I actually knew everything that was gonna happen in this last trial. That's the one that has the most plot twists and the most complex. It takes place over 10 years.
Listen, he needed his boyfriend to be present.
My lord, you must permit this trial to proceed as you declared at its outset.
It's canon now. Eugen Mikatoba is Sholmes' muse. His detecting muse.
He is! You can't even, it's not even a joke. That's the truth.
You promised that we would stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings.
Strongheart is like, you can't take a turn of phrase so literally! Like, this case is already 3 days past its point! Let it go!
What's 3 days back?
I'm saying, like, we've been streaming this case for at least 3 days.
This case? We've been doing this case for like a month or two.
Oh my gosh.
Because this case is 2 cases, or two episodes.
Fair.
Very well. Bring in the witnesses. Make no mistake, I too would like nothing more than to lay this business to rest once and for all.
Would the new witnesses state their names and occupations for the court, please?
I, Barricade, Governor of Barclay Prison. Everyone calls me Gossip. I sell jaunty little tidbits to pass by. Use your other persona if you don't mind. Oh, I do beg your pardon, of course. My name is Daily Vigil. I used to be the chief warder at Barclay Prison.
The reason you've been summoned here to court today is to testify about the jailbreak of the so-called professor 10 years ago. Professor!
Ah! Losh, the professor, we've already been through all this before, a decade ago. The conclusion was that there was anything untoward happened. A convict escaped from a prison, Governor. Hardly what we'd call nothing untoward. Ah, well. Yeah, Dragon barricading. The convict's death certificate was somehow falsified after he was allegedly executed, and he escaped the prison inside his own coffin. A plan of that complexity could never have been carried out without the help of somebody of influence inside the prison.
Governor Caden, I don't imagine that the passage of time will afford you any protection. If it turns out that you were involved in the plot to break Mr. Asogi out of your prison, then of course, the consequences will be very serious. In all likelihood, capital punishment.
Does Kazuma have the right to say this?
Apparently.
Gods, hold on there, laddie. All I did was... Witness. Governor Caden. Yes, sir. You have a critical role to play in the public safety of our country, a great responsibility to shoulder. The significance of your testimony in court cannot be understated. Therefore, think carefully before you speak. And Prosecutor Asogi, if you threaten the witness again, you will be held in contempt of court. I guess he can't just go in and just start threatening the death penalty to witnesses.
My apologies, my lord.
There's no disputing the fact that an intricate jailbreak plot was enacted 10 years ago. Clearly, you were both involved in some way. So you will testify before the court now and explain exactly what took place.
Very well. Let the witnesses give their formal testimony. Tell the court everything you know of the plot to break Asogi out of Barclay 10 years ago. It was the day that Japanese jock was found guilty. The directive came from the prosecutor's office. I assigned that convict to Chief Warder Vigil here and put the plan to action behind the scenes.
I was responsible for Asogi right up until the night of his execution, but I knew nothing of any plot.
I didn't ken if there was some negotiation between the convict and the prosecutor's office. All I did was carry out my duty for Her Majesty's great British Empire.
A directive from the prosecutor's office? Are you saying that was the jailbreak plot?
Aye, that's right.
Who sent it? Who authorized that plan?
I didn't ken that.
You say you don't know.
Listen, there wasn't a thing about that professor case that was unusual in some way. I didn't ask any questions. I just did what I was told to do. More than that, I couldn't tell you.
I see.
But the jailbreak plan originated from the prosecutor's office. Then one thing is very clear. As suspected, there were clandestine dealings going on between Mr. Asogi and that office.
The jailbreak was promised in exchange for Mr. Asogi admitting his crimes. To crimes he didn't commit.
That, counsel, is nothing more than speculation on your part. So, let me ask the defendant.
Oh, yes, my lord.
I fail to see how these witnesses have any more pertinent information here. Do you intend to assert your right to cross-examination?
Absolutely. I've no intention of squandering a single opportunity, my lord.
Right? Literally. Why wouldn't I? Yeah, even if we don't find any relevant information, it's still my right to cross-examine.
Seems all you Japanese are fiercely tenacious. Tenacious to the D. Very well. Proceed, counsel.
Sorry, that's the most PG line in the. I think the entire discography.